Hey, you doing okay today? Whether it's a bright or heavy day, let this story be a warm pause for you. Have you ever trusted someone so deeply they felt like home, only to watch it all crumble over one small detail? Stay with me to the end this, in just a shock, but a profound lesson about trust, truth, and what love can't hide. Hey, listener, you're about to step into a story where love shines bright until a single doubt casts a shadow. I'm Jackson, 26, a network technician in Boston, living what I thought was a perfect life with my wife, Layla, 22, a stunning woman of Middle Eastern descent. We married after a whirlwind romance, her charm and our shared dreams making me feel like the luckiest guy alive. Our modern apartment, her carefree spending, our cozy nights, it all felt like a fairy tale. But a small detail, a crack in her story, started unraveling the trust I built our marriage on. Let's start where the dream began to wobble. I met Layla at a coffee shop a year ago, her warm laugh and sharp wit pulling me in. She was breathtaking, dark curls, expressive eyes, a vibe that lit up the room. She said her wealthy family in Dubai funded her life, letting her focus on art and charity without working. I was smitten, not by her money, but by her spirit. Seemed pure, genuine, full of dreams about helping others. After 6 months, I proposed. She said yes, and we tied the knot in a small ceremony, her parents absent, but sending blessings via video call. I didn't. Mindy had her, and that was enough. We moved into a sleek Boston apartment, $2,300 a month, all glass and hardwood, a step up from my old bachelor pad. I covered rent and bills from my tech job, earning decently, but not extravagantly. Layla didn't work, which was fine. She said her family wired her money monthly. She spent freely, designer bags, dinners out, gifts for me like a smartwatch I'd. I felt proud, not of her cash, but of our life together. We'd cook pasta, watch old movies, plan trips we'd take someday. At 26, I'd found my forever, a partner who made every day brighter. Layla's spending was bold but never reckless. Drop $500 on shoes, then paint and sweats, unbothered by wealth. I admired her ease, her stories of growing up in luxury but wanting to do good. She talked about her dad, a businessman in Dubai, and her mom, a philanthropist, though I hadn't met them. They're private, she'd say, and I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? She was my wife, open about everything else, her fears, her love for me. Our marriage felt like a haven, her warmth erasing my long workdays. Then came the first tremor. 3 months into our marriage, our landlord mentioned renewing the lease. Layla, without blinking, offered to pay 6 months' rent upfront, $13,800. I'll handle it, she said, pulling out her phone to text Dad. The payment cleared the next day, and the landlord was thrilled. I was floored. 6 months? I asked, half laughing. That's huge. She shrugged, smiling. Dad's got it covered? He likes knowing I'm secure. But something nagged me. That was a lot of money, even for a rich family, and I'd never seen a bank statement, a wire transfer. Nothing. Just her word. I tried to brush it off, but questions crept in. I'd never met her parents, only seen them on that grainy video call at our wedding. Layla rarely mentioned specifics about their wealth, no company names, no family business details. When I'd ask, she'd say, Dad's in investments, it's boring, and change the topic. Her phone, always buzzing with texts she'd answer privately, added to the unease. Was I paranoid? She'd paid the rent, after all, but why was it always cash or her card? Never a trace of these Dubai transfers? My tech brain, wired for patterns, started picking at the edges of her story. I brought it up one night, keeping it light. Your dad's super generous, I said, chopping veggies for dinner. Ever think about us meeting him, or seeing Dubai? Layla tensed, just for a second, then smiled. Soon, babe. They're always traveling. Dad just wires the money. No big deal. Her answer was smooth, but it didn't land right. No big deal for $14,000. I wanted to trust her. She was my wife, the woman who'd cry watching rom-coms, who'd kiss me awake. But the lack of proof, the vagueness, planted a seed of doubt. Was her family really funding her, or was something else going on? That night, lying beside her, I couldn't shake the feeling. Our marriage, our home, felt like a dream, but dreams can hide cracks. I loved Layla, believed in her purity, her heart. But this one detail, her money, her story was starting to feel like a locked door I wasn't allowed to open. At 26, I'd bet everything on her. Now, I wondered what lay on the other side. Listener, Jackson's fairy tale is wobbling, and Layla's story is raising flags. Is she hiding something? Or is Jackson overthinking? Stay with Metha's stories about to unravel a truth that tests love's limits. Jackson's dream marriage to Layla was teetering. At 26, a network technician in Boston, he'd built a life with Layla, 22, believing her wealthy due by family funded her lavish lifestyle. Their modern apartment, her carefree spending, felt like a fairy tale until her $14,000 rent per payment raised doubts. Her vague stories about her parents, the absence of proof, gnawed at Jackson. He loved Layla's warmth, her seeming purity, but the locked door of her finances hinted at secrets. What started as a small crack in their trust was about to split wide open, revealing a truth that would shatter his world. The doubt wasn't new. Early in their courtship, Jackson had glimpsed a text on Layla's phone, something about a client and a hotel, suggestive of sex work. Shocked, he'd brushed it off, convincing himself it was old, a relic of a past she'd left behind. Layla's charm, her talk of charity and art, made it easy to believe she was the innocent dreamer he fell for. But now, her rent payment and evasive answers brought that memory roaring back. Was her family money a cover? Jackson hated himself for wondering, but love didn't blind him to the Mather spending. Her lifestyle didn't add up without evidence. He tried to address it gently. One evening over takeout. Layla, that rent payment was huge, he said, keeping his tone light. Can I see something? Like a bank transfer from your dad. Just to understand how it works. Her smile faltered, eyes narrowing. Why do you need proof? Don't you trust me? The deflection stung, but he pressed. It's not about trust. We're married, money stuff should be open, right? After a pause, she sighed, pulling out her phone. Fine. She sent him a screenshot, a wire transfer for $15,000 from Ahmed H., dated a week ago. That's Dad, she said, voice tight. Jackson studied the image, his tech instincts kicking in. Something was off. Font looked inconsistent, the layout slightly blurry, like it had been edited. He didn't call it out, but the unease grew. Why was the screenshot so vague? No bank logo, no account details, just a number and a name. He wanted to believe her, to cling to the Layla who'd curl up with him, whispering dreams of their future. But the screenshot felt like a prop, and her defensiveness, like when he'd asked about her parents, only deepened his suspicion. Was she hiding a trust fund, or something else entirely? The truth crashed through days later. By accident, Layla's phone locked after a failed update, and she asked Jackson to log into her bank account from his device to pay a bill. Just use my login, she said, rattled, handing him the details. He opened her account, expecting routine transactions. Instead, he saw it. The $15,000 transfer from Ahmed H. was a transfer between her own accounts and labeled savings to her checking. No Dubai, no Dajis. Layla moving her own money, staging the screenshot to deceive him. His heart sank, hands shaking as he scrolled. Other transactions, cash deposits, vague consulting payments hinted at income she'd never mentioned. He confronted her that night, his voice slow but firm. Layla, I saw your bank account. The transfer wasn't from your dad, it was your own money. Why'd you lie? Her face froze, then hardened. You went through my account, she shot back, voice sharp. That's my privacy. Jackson, he shook his head, hurt boiling over. You asked me to log in, but that's not the point. You faked a transfer. Lied about your family. What's going on? Where's the money coming from? Layla crossed her arms, eyes cold. Think what you want. I don't owe you proof. Her refusal to explain, her pivot to blame, hit like a betrayal deeper than the lie itself. Jackson's world unraveled. The woman he'd married, who'd seemed so pure, had built their life on a fiction. Her wealth, Her family, were they real at all? That old text about a client flashed back, now screaming implications he couldn't ignore. Was she funding her lifestyle through something she'd hidden? Sex work, scams, worse. He didn't want to judge, but her silence, her deflection, left him no answers, only pain. The love he'd poured into their marriage, the trust he'd given, felt like a house of cards, collapsing under her refusal to come clean. He stood in their apartment, surrounded by her designer bags, their shared dreams, and felt like a stranger. "I trusted you," he said, voice breaking. "I thought we were a team." Layla's eyes softened for a moment, but she said nothing, turning away. Jackson's heart broke, not just for the lie, but for the life he'd believed in, now exposed as a mirage. At 26, he faced a marriage crumbling under secrets, and the woman he loved was a puzzle he might never solve. Listener, Jackson's trust is shattered, and Layla's silence speaks louder than words. Can love survive such a deception, or is the truth too raw? Stay with Metha's stories about to face the cost of a marriage built on shadows. Jackson's dream marriage had crumbled into a maze of lies. At 26, a network technician in Boston, he'd believed Layla, 22, was his soulmate, her supposed wealth from a Dubai family funding their lavish life. But her $14,000 rent payment, vague stories, and a fake bank transfer when Jackson accessed her account exposed her deception. Her refusal to explain, deflecting with accusations of privacy invasion, shattered his trust. Now, with their modern apartment feeling like a stage for her secrets, Jackson faced a heart-wrenching choice: cling to the love he'd felt or confront the truth, no matter how painful. The betrayal cut deeper than the lie itself. Jackson replayed their marriage, Layla's laughter, their cozy nights, her promises of forever. But her silence when confronted, her cold "think what you want," echoed louder than her vows. A chilling detail gnawed at him. Layla had just received her spousal visa, tying her to the U.S. Through their marriage, had she loved him, or used him for a green card? The question stung, twisting their romance into a potential transaction. That old text about a client, her mysterious cash deposits, were they clues to a hidden life? Maybe sex work, maybe worse. He hated the suspicion, but her secrecy left no other path. Jackson's heart and head battled. He loved Layla, the version of her he'd known. Her warmth, her dreams of charity, had felt so real. Could that woman still exist beneath the lies? Part of him wanted to believe she'd open up, that her deception was fear, not malice. But the timing of her visa, her refusal to share proof, painted a darker picture. Was their marriage a scam, with Jackson as the unwitting mark? At 26, he poured his heart into her, only to feel like a pawn in a game he didn't understand. He reflected on trust, the bedrock of any marriage. Layla's lies weren't small: faking a family's wealth, staging transfers, dodging accountability. Could he live with someone who hid so much, who turned his questions into attacks? He imagined a future with her, always wondering, always checking, trust replaced by vigilance. That wasn't love, it was a prison. His value honesty, partnership lashed with her actions. No matter how much he cared, a relationship built on deception was a house on sand, doomed to collapse. At 26, he wasn't ready to trade his peace for a mirage. Jackson decided to act, choosing clarity over comfort. He asked Layla to meet at their apartment. No distractions, just truth. Sitting across from her, he laid it bare. "Layla, I loved you, but I still do, but your lies are killing us. The money, the fake transfer, your family, you need the whole truth. Were you using me for the visa? Where's the money coming from? If you can't be honest, we're done." His voice was steady, but his heart raced, bracing for her response. He wasn't demanding confessions to punish her. He wanted a path forward, together or apart, rooted in reality. Layla's eyes flickered red fire. Maybe regret, but she stayed guarded. "I told you, my family helps me," she said, softer this time. "Why can't you just believe me?" Jackson shook his head, exhaustion replacing anger. "Because you faked a transfer, Layla. You lied to my face. I saw your account's cash deposits. Consulting. If it's not what I think, explain it. I'm your husband, not your judge." Her silence was deafening, her gaze dropping to the floor. I don't want to lose you, she whispered, but offered no answers, no proof, just the same vague pleas. That moment sealed it. Jackson saw the truth in her words, but in her refusal to meet him halfway. Love couldn't survive without transparency, and Layla's walls were too high. I can't do this, he said, voice breaking. I wanted us, but not like this, knit with secrets. We need to figure out what's next, whether that's separation or divorce. He wasn't cruel, but firm, choosing his dignity over a fragile peace. Layla nodded, tears falling, but said nothing more. The apartment, once their haven, felt like a stranger's. Jackson left the conversation raw but resolute. He didn't know if Layla would come clean, if they'd unravel her past or part ways. But he'd chosen truth over illusion, a painful step toward freedom. At 26, he faced a marriage's end, but also a chance to rebuild in his terms, with someone who'd meet him openly. The love he'd felt for Layla lingered, a ghost, but he'd rather face loneliness than live in her shadows. Listener, Jackson's at a crossroads, choosing truth over a tainted love. Could you stay with someone who hides so much? Or would you walk like him? When's a time you had to let go for your own peace? Share bellow when listening. Stay tuned, life's full of truths that reshape what we thought we knew.